Each summer for a few weeks, we shift from sole purpose and do a biblical study together called The Bible for Today. We're beginning that today and will continue for 10 weeks. During that time, we will consider together the New Testament book of James. We're not exactly sure who the author was. Presumably, he was a man named James. Some think he was James the disciple, the brother of John. That James was the acknowledged leader of the earliest Christian church when it was still a sect of Judaism. If he had written anything, people would have read it. Others think the author was James, the brother of Jesus. Certainly, had he written anything, people would have read it. To be sure, the author was a Christian with deep personal roots in Hebrew thought and the importance of the law of Moses. We know that because throughout his letter he makes so much of behavior, of the importance of what we do. His very first chapter begins with a long treatise about facing and dealing with trials and temptations. Hear his words. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God. For God tempts no one to evil, but each person is tempted when lured by his own desires. And then, if any of you do not know what to do, ask God, and it will be given to you. And again, count it all joy, my friends, when you meet various trials, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. What do we hear in those words about temptation and how to face it? First of all, temptation finds us at our most vulnerable point. Each person is tempted or lured by his own desires, says James, and those desires vary. Some of us may long to be loved and thus will go to unusual lengths or allow ourselves to be manipulated in order to find it. Some long for material security and thus will do almost anything in order to attain it. Some of us may be plagued with self-doubt and thus will go along with any crowd in order to be accepted. Recently, a reformed drug addict said to me, when I first started, I had no interest in using drugs. I had an interest in being accepted by friends who use drugs. Temptation hits us where we're vulnerable. Second, when we are vulnerable, we need to lean on someone who is strong. James says that God will give us the strength to face temptations when alone we do not possess that strength. A lifelong friend told me that she has avoided countless personal pitfalls with a single prayer. When she's faced with a significant decision, and especially when it has moral consequences, she said she always pauses and prays, God, will what I am considering make you proud of me or make you ashamed of me? It's her way of doing what James suggested. If any of you do not know what to do, ask God, and it will be given to you. Finally, the first chapter of James tells us that standing fast equals growing stronger. Each time I give in to temptation, it's easier to give in the next time. By the same token, each time I stand fast, stand on principle, stand up for what I know is right, the next time it is easier to keep standing. Count it all joy, my friends, wrote James, when you meet various trials, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. Think about these two questions. One, what makes most of us vulnerable to temptation? Two, are there reliable ways to deal with it? If so, what are some of those ways? Next week, we'll complete chapter 1 with thoughts about listening and doing.